All right, moving right along with our predictions, we're going to go to Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State lost a lot of talent, especially on the defense. They lost Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator, so the team's going to look a lot different this year. They still have Spencer Sanders. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. He's more like a running back that's playing a quarterback, in my opinion, and he's been known to make a lot of mistakes. He cost them the Big 12 championship game this past year, or this year, I should say. Just big turnover machine. He's just he can be okay or he can be terrible. There's just no in between a lot of the time. All right, moving on, we're going to go into the schedule now. First game against Central Michigan. Shouldn't be much of a problem there. Should be a pretty easy win. I don't see any issues there. So I'm starting off the season with a win. Next game is going to be against Arizona State at home. Arizona State has Herm Edwards there as their head coach. He might put up somewhat of a fight whenever they come in. That's an interesting game from the Pac-12 opponent coming into Boone Pickens Stadium, but I think Oklahoma State should be able to get away with a win in this one. It might be a close game, but I think they'll win. All right, moving on to Arkansas Pine Bluff. Easy win there. Nothing to really say about that. Should be a blowout win for the Cowboys. All right, so that's 3-0, and we're moving on to our first away game. It's going to be at Baylor. Baylor is a really good team. They're going to be one of the top teams coming into the Big 12 this year, and they won the conference last year. They beat Oklahoma State at the last second goal line stand. Just an outstanding game. Baylor's going to have a really stout defense again this year, really strong run game. So I think because this is at Baylor, I'm going to go with the Bears. I think they give Oklahoma State their first loss of the season. And yeah, if it was at Boone Pickens Stadium, I might lean towards the Cowboys, but I'm going to go with Baylor in this one. All right, next game is going to be against Texas Tech at home. Texas Tech is probably a couple years away from being an okay squad. Right now, they're not good at all. They don't have any talent really to speak of. This shouldn't be much of a challenge. Texas Tech has had a lot of shootout games with the Cowboys in the past, but I think this should be an easy win for them, so Oklahoma State should get this win. All right, next game is going to be at TCU. TCU has nothing. I don't really see any threat from TCU this year. They're going to probably be a bottom tier team in the Big 12. This should be another easy win, and I don't see any problems in this one. All right, next game is going to be against Texas. Texas has a lot of hype coming into this year. Sark is coming into his second year. Excellent play caller. We'll have to see if he is an excellent coach, head coach. Texas is just going to be riding that high roller coaster into this game. I think Texas gets this win, even though it's at Boone Pickens Stadium. I just think Texas is just going to be a much more improved squad this year. I think they're going to be that good. I think they're going to hand the Cowboys their second loss of the season. All right, next game is going to be at Kansas State. Kansas State is they're usually okay most years, but they're not a great team. They usually give you a really good fight. They usually give Oklahoma State a pretty good fight. So I think this one's close, but I think eventually Oklahoma State does pull away or makes a big-time play and wins this game. All right, next game is going to be at Kansas. Kansas is absolutely terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the country. Unless you're Texas, I don't see Oklahoma State having any issues in this one. Kansas is Kansas. This should be a pretty easy win. All right, next game is going to be against Iowa State at home. Iowa State has given Oklahoma State a lot of issues in the past, but they're not the same team. Matt Campbell's a heck of a coach. This could be a close game just because he's the head coach, but I think Oklahoma State will pull out this win though. This is gonna be a tough game, even though it's at home. I think they're gonna get the win on that one as well. I just don't see them losing that one either. All right, as soon as the thing wants to load. All right, and the next game is at Oklahoma. So Bedlam's gonna be in Norman this year. I think Oklahoma lost a lot of talent and their head coach to USC. But something's telling me that Oklahoma State is going to lose this game because it's in Norman, and they just can't beat Oklahoma consistently. Whenever they beat them once, they always lose the next year. So I think Oklahoma wins this game and gets Brent Venables his first win in Bedlam series. Yeah, that's just all I have to say about that. I think Oklahoma's going to win the game. And last game is against West Virginia. West Virginia is not going to be very good this year, even though they have that quarterback transfer from Georgia. I just don't think they're going to have the talent to keep up in this one. It's the last game of the year. Mike Gundy's going to want to end the year on a high note with a win. So I think Oklahoma State wins this game and sends the season out on a 9-3 record. Losses to Oklahoma, Texas, and Baylor, the three big dogs of the Big 12. So yeah, I think it's going to be a 9-3 season for Oklahoma State this year. It's going to be a step back, but that's usually the record they're used to going with. They usually end up losing 2 or 3 games every year, but they usually make it to a decent bowl game. But all right, that's all I've got for Oklahoma State. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe.